Hey guys, it's Nikki Lowe with Keller Williams Realty Center, and today I'm joined by one of my favorite lenders, Andrea Trout with Caliber Home Loans.
Hi, Nikki.
How's it going? So we've been talking, and most of you know I've been involved in my first flip project, and because people are following the project along with me, I've had quite a few individuals reach out and ask me questions about investing in properties and whether you're investing in a property to flip or investing in a property to hold as a rental property. What's the first step in financing the project? Because let's be real, not everybody has all the cash under their mattress and can just buy it with cash.
You wouldn't have known it over the last 2 years. I feel like there's just been piles of cash everywhere. Everybody's paying cash. Well, the market's, as we've seen, shifted a little bit, so people are actually getting loans to buy houses. Properties are sitting on the market a little bit longer. Mm-hmm. I don't know where all those investors that had all the cash disappeared to, but
they'll come back. They'll be back.
I hope not.
They'll be back.
That hurts my business. I want people to get loans, so... All right, so this is actually great because there is such a thing as renovation financing, and you can use it if you're buying a house to live in, or like in Nikki's situation where you're buying a property to flip or even to hold and rent out as a long-term investment, that you can get a loan that is used to purchase the property as well as finance in the work that needs to be done.
So why don't you start by telling us step-by-step process, how do we get started?
So the first step is obviously getting pre-approved like you would with any other loan. So we go through the process of seeing how much you're approved for, and then that amount that you're approved for is going to be the total budget for the purchase price plus all the repairs. So then Nikki's going to go out and find properties that are in the appropriate price range where there's still room to do whatever work needs to be done. So part of what she does is obviously not only find properties that are listed kind of below market so that there is wiggle room in there, that once they're fixed up, they're worth more. And so she'll run comps to determine how much the house is worth once it is fixed up. And that's also something that the appraisers are looking at. So the process, first you get pre-approved, you find a property. Nikki says, hey, I found something, it's a great deal. In this market, it would go for way more if it was fixed up. Obviously, buyers aren't interested in doing the work, so this is a golden opportunity for you. You write the contract, you get it accepted. Now we have a ratified contract, you need to pick a contractor. Contractor goes out to the property, they determine how much it's going to cost, they give you an itemized budget of what it's going to cost, broken down into materials, labor, everything, what you want to do to the house cosmetically, what needs to be done to the house to bring it up to standard. And then we take that and we add it to the acquisition price, the sales price, and then your down payment is calculated off the combined amount. So if you had a $200,000 sales price, $100,000 in repairs, you now have a $300,000 total acquisition price. If you're doing an investment property, putting down 20%, it's 20% off the 300, so that's 60,000 plus your closing costs. So that's your down payment investment. And then we've calculated the loan amount. We can then have the appraiser go out. The appraiser is going to have that work write up. They're going to then determine what the house is going to be worth once all the work is done. We want to make sure that when we're loaning you all this money, that again, the house is the collateral for the loan. We want to make sure that it's worth that once the work is done. We're also going to vet the contractor. You can't do the work yourself. I know you were going to ask that.
That was my next question, because that's actually one of the biggest things that I find myself explaining to buyer clients. A lot of people think, okay, well, I'm buying a $200,000 house. That's the sales price. I want to put $50,000 into it. So they're just going to give me the $50,000 cash when I go to sell it.
I'm not having you take the 50 grand and go buy a Ferrari or whatever. So no, we're definitely not handing you a pile of cash, because again, that house is the collateral for the bank. So we want to make sure that the work is getting done and it's getting done properly, and that nobody's running off with part of the money. With the builder or the contractor said that they were going to do this, put in this grade of flooring or whatever, and then they just pocketed the money and put in some cheapo base model flooring or whatever. So what happens is, we have to approve the contractor. The contractor has to submit their references, licensing, everything, so that we can approve them, make sure that they're above board. We've run credit. We know that these people are legitimate and aren't halfway out of bankruptcy. They're not planning on running off with your money. That being said, we cannot have you do the work yourself. It does have to go through a licensed contractor, even if you're super handy and you're a plumber and whatever. If the general contractor wants to use you as a subcontractor, I'm sure you guys can work that out, but you're not acting as a general contractor. You can't do the work yourself. And then what happens is after you go to closing, we give you the money to buy the house at closing, and then after you buy the house, then the contractor begins work, and as the work is completed, the contractor will ask to get paid. So we pay them out in draws, but we go out and we inspect, and we make sure, okay, you want to get paid for the kitchen cabinets and the flooring and whatever that you've done. So the inspector goes out, checks to make sure that those were done. They have the list that said exactly what you were going to do. They go through and say, yep, they did those things, so they can get paid for those things. We are not trusting anyone, but we also are protecting you as the buyer and as the client to make sure that you didn't get a loan and then the contractor took off with your money and now you're stuck with a shell of a house that you don't have the money to do anything with.
So are the qualifications for a buyer who is looking for a renovation loan product the same as the qualifications for, say, FHA or conventional financing?
For the most part, yes. So FHA is still strictly for a primary residence that you're going to live in. So you can still do a renovation loan. If you go and you find a house, Nikki, your budget is $300,000 for a house, and Nikki finds a house that's listed for $200,000 and it's in the neighborhood you really want, but you walk in, you're like, it smells like cat pee, and it's like got the yellow kitchen from the 70s that Nikki loves, and it's just a hot mess. And you're like, there's no chance. Like this, I want the white kitchen with the marble countertops and all the bells and whistles that I see on TV. And Nikki's like, okay, but if this house had all that stuff, it would be worth $300,000, $350,000. So let's see what it would cost to put in exactly what you want. And now you almost get a custom built house because it's in the neighborhood you want, which is hard to come by. It's not like new construction's being built in residential neighborhoods where you want to live and in the school you want to be in. So you buy this older home. Nikki comes in with her amazing design brain and tells you, look, if you knock out this wall, you open up the kitchen, you redo it, we can have the contractor come out, figure out the budget, and all of a sudden, you, within your original budget, now have a brand new house in a desirable location.
And it's a house that is exactly what you want. You get to pick everything.
Which is fun.
That is fun. It's fun for people like me.
It's fun for people like her. She just has to tell me what to do. It's like, do you like this picture? Yeah? Okay, we'll do that. Yeah.
So are the interest rates the same on a renovation loan as a conventional or FHA?
No, they are a little bit higher because if you think about it, there's just more involved. So it is a little bit more of an expensive loan than a traditional loan. Think about a traditional loan. You get it underwritten, you go to closing. Boom, we're done. We don't talk to you anymore. No, I'm just kidding. I love talking to you after. You can still call me, email me, whatever after closing. I'm just kidding. But from a company perspective, there has to be a renovation department that's there to approve the contractors that go through all of that, which we don't have to do on a normal loan. We have to go out and inspect and release draws throughout the building and construction period. So there is just more work and there are more people that are involved in that process, and people cost money. So for that reason, we do have it priced a little bit higher because the company makes profit on the higher rate, so that's how we pay for it.
That makes sense.
But if you're flipping, who cares, right? It's still cheaper than, getting a loan shark loan or something where they're going to come break your legs if you don't pay.
Oh, no. I don't want to know anything about that, by the way. We're not going to those guys at all. I think I have one last question for you. So it does sound like it's a bit of a process, and
Yes.
let's say this is a home that my buyer wants to live in and then make it their forever home. Do they have to live in the house
During
with
construction?
during construction? Do they have a mortgage and rent at the same time? How does that work?
So you can actually choose to finance payments during the construction period. So depending on how long the contractor thinks the work's going to take, say they think it's going to take 3 months, 6 months, whatever. you can finance the payments, because normally it is a regular loan that it would start payment a month after closing typically. So rather than, if you are having to live in a rental or someplace else, that instead of having double payments, that we can just take those payments, add them to the loan, so then for whatever the construction period is, you don't have to double pay.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal.
Okay. Well, I think it was super helpful. Thank you so much for joining
absolutely.
us today. And feel free to message if you have any other questions. We're happy to help.
Absolutely.